Welcome back to another episode of Raul's World of Synths. I am Raul. In this video, we're going to look at a little bit of modulating with the A136. If you've been following the series, you've kind of seen us do the triangle wave, the sine wave. We also tried some experiments with the pulse wave and the saw wave. In this video, we're going to focus primarily on modulation, but I'm not going to go into too many of the details about how this patch was initially set up. So if you have questions about that or how to get it in the right sort of zone, I would recommend jumping back a few videos and checking out the basics video, as well as the one immediately after that. So without further ado, we're just going to jump right in and activate our patch. So this is going to be our little cable. It's going to give us a waveform from our VCO, so I'm going to patch that. So we're getting a triangle wave, and there it is on the scope. I had to do some special settings on the A136 so that, let's see, I would both see the original waveform over here, which is showing up, I believe, as a red waveform over there on our scope, and then the other waveform is showing up as a green waveform, if you can see that on the scope. But in order to get them in that zone so that you could see both of them with no modification coming from our Waveshaper yet, I did have to make some special settings on the A136. So check out the basics video if you're kind of curious about how to get it in that nice little zone. But without that, sort of, you wouldn't have any place to start. But let's go ahead and modulate and have some fun. So if you look down at the bottom, let's see, I got my sequencer set up over here. This is actually sending notes, generating them, and sending them up to the A110 at the top. Over on the side, we have a couple of modulation sources. This is my kind of little modulation come-to section right here. I usually do a few demonstrations with the A143, maybe a couple with random, just to get an idea of what the differences are. So let's get some of those patched up and just check it out. So I'm going to get a cable from over here, and let's just go ahead and patch just a standard triangle wave. There we go. And hopefully this will reach, and we're just going to go into the positive clipping level right here. So you can immediately hear a change occurring over there. Now, if you look over here to kind of see what the rate of this guy is, it's kind of hard to see that light, but it's right about there. So it's going, let's see, it's in the low frequency, so let's try and speed it up a little. And we're not seeing anything yet on our scope, as well as we're not hearing anything in our ears. So let's see if we can't get some of that worked out. And let me turn the gain down and get my envelope going as well over here. Make sure that's plugged in all the way. And I just need to actually patch that. I did not patch it. There we go. Let me adjust my... And I'm just arbitrarily making something that I like over here. Alright, now let's go in and modulate a little bit. So I'm going to adjust this setting. And then adjust this a little. We're not seeing a really big change there occurring, so let's try a slightly slower waveform rate over here at our A143. Let me adjust this a little bit. I was just looking for some visible movement there. Not seeing any. Let me try a little bit faster rate. Make sure my waveform's patched all the way in. I don't think it is. There we go. I was wondering what was going on there. Now that's obviously going crazy over there. So let's bring that down a little bit. It's always fun to have those little discoveries when it's just a very simple little patch that could have fixed the sounds you were making. There we go. So there we have just a nice little jumpy waveform, and you could manually kind of tune it rate-wise if you you wanted to with your ear, just to kind of get it in a nice little zone that you like. So let's try something timbrally different. And I am adjusting some of these other settings, like the negative clipping level and the negative amplitude. But it's just to find the different timbres over here. So I'm liking that. So let me try the positive clipping level again. I actually like that very big movement. Alright, now let's try maybe a different waveform. So let's go over to our sine wave and see how that responds. Now while that looks cool, sonically not very interesting, so let's maybe try a saw wave that's got a few more harmonics. There we go. I'm liking that a little bit better than some of the previous sounds we had. Okay, so now let's take another waveform and maybe do a little bit more modulation. So I may actually need a longer cable for this. So let's actually try, well, we'll take some of our random outputs over here once I patch them. But this is the output that's going to give me my random voltages. And I'm going to patch it over here, and we shouldn't see anything happen yet. I need to feed my A149 a clock over here, so that it will synchronize sort of with the other modulation. I'm going to take the pulse out from that same LFO, and I'm going to use that as my clock over here on the A149. And we should see a little bit of activity over here, as long as everything is patched in correctly. There we go. We see some activities at the little gate lights, and up here it's telling me that random voltages are coming out. So let's see if we can get some interesting movement. Let me unpatch the first modulation, see if we can see any shifting over there. Now, in case you're curious, I'm using the 2N output, which is the lower output on the A149. If you want to know more about this, I do have a series on this module as well. I would recommend checking it out if you're kind of curious about it. And I'm not really hearing any crazy kind of things coming from there, so let's try something different. Maybe the top output. Then I'll also adjust my negative amplitude over here. So we'll have something substantial to modulate, perhaps. And over at my scope, I'm really just looking for any kind of periodic jumping. Yeah, I can kind of sonically hear it there, and you can kind of see it shifting periodically on the scope. Okay, I'm liking that so far. But what I'd like to do is be able to time it kind of separately if I wanted to, so I'm going to take this pulse wave, maybe see if I can get that happening a little bit faster too. Alright, that looks pretty good. And now let me bring back my original modulation signal, my triangle wave, into the external input over here. There we go. So now we have two kind of shifting modulation sort of patterns here. And this is just a very basic demonstration of, two different types of modulation signals that you might be using. So you could use just one, or you could use both of them at the same time if you wanted to. Get some really interesting modulations for yourself. With varying results, I guess we can label that. Okay. Now, since we tried kind of a crazy kind of modulation, why don't we just try a standard maybe triangle wave modulation to input number 2, or the negative clipping level is what I'm referring to. Now that one's really, really fast. Let's try and slow that down a little. Yeah, and sonically, not really working there, so let's see if we can get something in a nicer zone. It sounds good too. And that's not bad. But you know, with a little bit of planning and the right modulation sources, you can make some kind of killer patches. At any rate, that's going to actually do it for us this time. Just wanted to give you a little overview of the modulation capabilities of the A136 Distortion Waveshaper. I'm not sure entirely what we're doing in the next series of videos, but hopefully you'll stay tuned for that. As I said before, if you have any questions about the A149 that we were kind of playing around with down here, check out the series I did on it. It was quite a while back, but I still get positive comments from it, so I think it's definitely worthwhile. The A155 and A154, if you want to know more about those, I do have a series on those as well, so check those out. In addition, I also have a series on, let's see, the A110 as well, so you may want to check that out. I don't think I have one specifically on the A130. I do have one on the A131, so if you want to check that out too, you're more than welcome to. As always, please leave any comments that you might have on this video or any of the other videos on the website or on the page for my YouTube channel. I also do encourage you to check out my other YouTube show called Modular Wild. We're going to be at KnobCon this year, so better get your patch cables ready. But yeah, that's going to do it for this time, and see you next time.